A pilgrim in downtown Austin, Texas. Clear skies, 80 degrees, nearly 4 miles through the heart of the city. A walk carried home from New Mexico, still turning. About the emptiness that makes a bowl useful. About honoring the paths walked before us. About the curiosity we are born with and slowly forget. The walker becomes a guide.
Hello, another beautiful day out here in Austin. It's not sunny, it's cloudy, and there's lots of wind, so there's a lot of people out enjoying this beautiful day early in the morning, walking, running, chilling with friends. Today the walking circle was just me, and I figured I actually wanted to do this because I wanted to do like a podcast episode for what I had in mind, because I had the new idea of doing this interactive walk, and this feature actually was live this week. It's not quite released yet because I'm waiting for the App Store for the approval, but basically it's done. And how I even came about the idea was I was walking in the streets of Santa Fe, and I thought it would be cool to record the ambiance of just the walk, or the places I've been just walking about, especially like the cathedrals and the churches. And when I go in, there's like that vibe and the ambiance, and you can't really give that ambiance to others. So I feel like you can just turn on the talk, and it would be an ambiance kind of voice. Instead of talking, I can just leave it on the background and just let it run. And that's what I did. And I thought it would be cool to have kind of like what Craig Maude had done for his page on Kumano Kudo, where he and this National Geographic photographer, and they just walked the pilgrimage route for, I think, for 5 days and nights, and they recorded the whole thing, and afterwards he made a website dedicated for that. And the website is cool. Is on the left side is his kind of like journal entry writing about it, but on the right side is the map of the routes he had taken. And when I first saw that, it was like really cool artistic way of doing something like that. Very unique. And I immediately looked up how he did it using Canvas, as well as some other things which you can make it to do. So I put that as an idea for later, where for the pilgrimage route, I totally can do this. And just kind of for the pilgrimage, maybe in Shikoku, to do like a multi-day thing, a website that dedicated for that, and write about it and things like that. But that just kind of like propelled this. It was an inspired idea for this as well, where I thought about using Mapbox as the map behind it and going about the routes. And actually, when Claude did it, it just mapped the walk in like a faster pace, but I later on had it where you can actually walk per the walker's pace. So something like I put an example of the Santa Fe, but as well as the hike I did for the Bandelier National Park, because I totally forgot to pin the photos for the Santa Fe, so it only had the sounds, and that's it looked right, but just it would have been nicer to have the photos along with it. The Bandelier actually just had the photo. There was no talk or audio for it. but it looked really nice. It came up with like the carousel. So as you walk, you see the photos, and it could be one photo, it could be two photos. When the photos are clumped together, you have two photos side by side, and there's like that transition. And also it has the meditation on top. Like if someone was meditating, the map would be spinning, and there's like a circle, almost like a breathing circle in the carousel card. So that was pretty cool. And at the end, that actually I didn't do this until the very end, asking Claude for dream up more ideas. And what I dreamt up was to put a cairn at the end, so the visitors of the page can actually click, and then we'll add an additional stone on top of the cairn, which is kind of like what I put for the app too. So you can put any kind of cairn and any spot around the world, and other people can see it on their map, and they can actually contribute to the cairn. So this is the same thing. It uses the same graphics. So lately I actually updated the cairn image. Before it was just like a glyph, but now it's a SVG file using Quiver. It's actually Quiver is a really cool AI project it's actually a YC-backed company where they trained AI to draw SVG file, because SVG it's like a vector file, so you can actually enlarge it or make it super small without distorting the resolution of it. So it's really cool to create these drawings. It's, I think Claude can do basic SVG, but these are way more complicated. So it's literally making like a really cool icon image using SVG. And so I had it done, I think like 8 or 9 different versions, because at the different tiers of the cairn, it changes the image as well as the sound. So when you place a stone, it plays a sound, like how you place a stone kind of sound, and it depends on the tier, it plays a different sound. Same thing for the image. Once it gets to a certain size, a threshold, it changes the image or the SVG as well. So that was it's cool to actually add it to the interactive web page as well. So that's basically it. Actually, when I showed my dad, it's like the first time he actually became really interested in this, because he's very he likes the travel as well as making like a video afterwards to show his friends and family about the travel with the photos and everything. But this is like interactive storytelling essentially. And actually, my friend Matt thought it was really cool as well, because he was gonna do a kind of like a pilgrimage through the mountains that's overlaying in like Johannesburg or no, Cape Town, of like basically this huge mountain in the center of the town, and he's gonna walk across it in a multi-day journey with his friend, and using the Pilgrim app to do along the way. And this would be the perfect thing for him to tell. Like, he's going to record it with a GoPro, but this would be like a interactive storytelling in the back. That's what actually I plan to do with the YouTube channel, which is you can. I was going to use a Android phone to walk the pilgrimage path in Japan and record it along the way. With like a silent recording. You know those people that go on YouTube where they record silently walking across somewhere, usually in an hour to 2 hour kind of format. This is what I'm going to do for the pilgrimage routes, where I'm just going to I bought like a holder that you can use. Before I actually bought the Osmo, the one with the gimbal that auto balances, but it's like too much weight. I felt it's like a 6-pound thing, and it actually broke I used it once and it broke, and then I hit up the Osmo support, and they gave me a brand new one afterwards, and I gave it to my dad because I feel like the one I bought is good enough. And I think even the phone these days, they have pretty good balancing, like almost like a stabilization thing that gimbal provides. So it's pretty good. So I'm just gonna use that I bought for like $20, way cheaper. It's also you can actually set it down, do still shots. Now that's what I was planning to do for meditation too. Like, so another part of the video series, which is like walk, talk, meditate, right? The talk part was I started to make into video format of the essays that I've been creating, and that translates into my own voice. And my voice, I use, I think, like open source TTS to translate my voice, because I actually did before. I did like 2 duck videos, duck talks, using 11 Labs to clone my voice. Because back in the days, 11 Labs, you needed like something like a 2 hour of your talk, of some your audio, in order to make a professional clone of your voice. And I did that for the project I did back. It was called Rubber Duck Talk, just Duck Talk. And it's I did like 2 talks and I stopped. I actually did 2 talks as long with 2 tapes, which is like almost like a mixtape / a poem about the essay, and the talk. And that's what I did with the before. Like, this is like pre GPT 4 or something, or maybe it's like around GPT 4. It turned out great. I just didn't keep doing it because it took so long. But now, with these crazy automation that you can do, that's why I actually had Claude automate the translation from the essay to the video format, and then does it. And then I just use it on my Mac Mini using SSH and tmux in to do the translation or the conversion. And I think each episode takes about 30 minutes to an hour to do. And then it just copies using Tailscale. It just copies to my laptop, and I just upload it to YouTube. So that's the talk. Walk is the video, with also using the interactive web page to put on YouTube, as well as meditate. Will be anywhere quiet with a beautiful spot to do, and just set it down. I meditate along with the recording of the meditation. Just have a still 4K shot of one place, and have people, the viewer can meditate along with me, kind of thing. Actually, I tried to do that at Ojo Caliente. So I went to Ojo. The main part of the trip that I took to New Mexico was to check out Ojo Caliente, because that's had some guru bhais recommend Ojo Caliente as a way to kind of heal, rejuvenate, recharge your body. And that's what I did. And it was like very, very chill. I basically soaked I spent 2 nights there, but one day I basically spent almost the entire day there, just soaking, like 3 different sessions, multiple times, different pools. I enjoyed the Lithia pool the best, because it's like even temperature, and I just sit under the faucet. It's just almost like and I meditate. I do Kriya and meditate under there. It's almost like you're sitting under a waterfall, and water just streaming on top of you. It has that kind of feel. And also just Lithia, apparently it improves your mood. So people who are depressed and stuff could get lifted up by just soaking in the Lithia pool. And there are other pools like iron, arsenic, some other ones, and with various temperature. And the cool policy is most people, or people should only whisper, and most people don't really talk. They just are there enjoying the chill vibe. But some people, they do actually talk loud, and there are people that shush or shush at them to make sure they're following the rule, which I thought was pretty cool. I think there are more spots like this. I think my friend from Vancouver, he sent me something like Ojo Caliente, but just for sauna and cold plunge, I think. It's like a spa resort, but without the natural materials or minerals in the water. I think only Japan, like the onsens, and Iceland and New Mexico, and maybe somewhere else that has these natural minerals in the water, and that's why people from all over the world comes to New Mexico to get this healing mineral water, heal their body. And actually, during the full day that I was staying there, the other part I went was I drove out, I think, an hour and a half to this place called the Echo Amphitheater. It's just a natural boulder that's in the mountain, and it looks like a kind of like a bowl. It has a natural echo to it, and it's really cool. The only people that were with me that actually were in front of me were these two elderly couple, and later I got to chat with them. They actually were originally from Houston and Bastrop. So and then one of them bought a place in Taos, which I just came from. And Taos is beautiful too. I actually enjoy Taos better than Santa Fe. And even though I didn't really walk around the downtown area, I just enjoy the vibe more. Just getting into the town, I feel like it's more open, more expansive. And the only reason why I went was Claude told me there was a Neen Karoli Baba ashram, and that's actually what I went. And I actually had a very beautiful, very tasty meal that I had after I visited ashram, and the ashram was great. It's like a full legit place with people living there, as well as a beautiful temple, and I got to meditate there. It's very quiet and peaceful. And when I was meditating, there was a guy that walked in and then started ringing the bell. I think it was like a ritual. And I think it was around lunchtime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock-ish. This guy started ringing the bell and he meditated with me for a little bit before he walked out. So I think I meditated maybe like 20 minutes there. And it was a cool experience. After I went, Claude recommended me a place nearby as like New Mexican food. It had like the enchiladas, and it had shrimp in it. They gave me actually a lot of shrimp. It was a really cool place. Then the Taos drive to I think I was driving to Ojos. Yeah, I was driving there. And you can see like the mountains, the trees and stuff changes because most of the time when you're driving about New Mexico, you see the mountains, there's trees, but they're sparse with, they're not together, and then you can see like little spots of green versus these mountains, it's all green, like a normal mountain, how you would see it. And it's a beautiful curving drive. I really enjoy driving it in the BMW that I rented. Also, like part of the drive, realize how kind of grateful I am to experience this, because the as a kid growing up like in China, I always had the kind of like fascination as a boy too, right? To stand behind the bus driver, because it feels like the bus driver, when the bus driver is like operating this big machine, I wanted to be like a bus driver. So like actually growing up, I think my kind of goal was to be like a bus driver, to drive these huge machines. And when I was little, I never like dreamt I'd be in the U.S. driving a car, my own car, but also just driving like a luxury car like BMW, and just going around cruising the states, just different states, driving. The whole U.S. is like built with in mind. It's like a driving country, so all the interstates makes it very accessible for all the cars to go about, to travel between states, interstates. So they have the interstates highway. So it was actually part of the push by the automobile industry back in the day. I think they lobbied and got the government to start this whole crazy engineering project to build interstates between the states, and it worked out quite well. But now that we don't really have other transportation mechanism like trains, besides like I guess airplanes. So that's why we're lacking behind in trains and stuff, because we have cars, and we have so many cars, kind of thing. And actually, let me put something here, put a way marker, as well as take a photo. I always forget these. Take a photo, or also waymark the thing. I can also place a stone here. I'll place a cairn. Yes. And then place a waypoint. Just took a picture of this giant tree. Who knows how long it has been here. I mean, trees have longer lives than, or some trees have longer lives than humans. So it's seen or felt things that transcends generations in a way. Anyways, in New Mexico, there was, I would think it was like a perfect amount of stay. The last 2 days, I kind of stayed in Albuquerque, which is like the capital. And one thing I noticed the first like 20 minutes since I touched down in New Mexico was how quote unquote poor it seems in Albuquerque compared to the rest of the country. Another thing I noticed was like the adobe structure all around. I actually didn't even know the term adobe until later, and I stayed over there more and learned more about it. It seems like the adobe structure, because one, the materials is there, and two, it prevents the hot from coming in. It actually insulates pretty well in the climate that it has, that New Mexico takes shape in. So I think I chatted with Quad about the poverty, like why does it feel so poor in Albuquerque. It did came up with the stats, I think, that New Mexico has one of the highest poverty rate. And when you think about it, it makes sense, because New Mexico doesn't really produce anything in a way. A lot of it is the Indians and Native Americans that are here. They have their own community, but also one of the ways for them to make money is through casinos. That's why you see more and more cannabis shops around. I see quite a bit of stores. And you have like drive-through cannabis stores right next to the hotel that I was staying at. And I think like Santa Fe's and these like towns like Taos, they do provide artists, and that's why more artists are moving there. It's kind of like Sedona, as well as like Marfa in Texas. And yeah, the Santa Fe has I feel like the same vibe as Sedona, in that everywhere I walk, it's like a artist kind of they all like, I feel like they all sell the same thing, and they are all heavily overpriced. So I don't know how they're even selling, like the sales. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't know who would buy these kind of things. I guess like the same thing for Sedona, right? Actually, I did buy something from this artist that was touring this Native American cultural center. It's almost like a museum for Native Americans, like the Pueblos and stuff. And there, at the end of it's like a circular museum. At the end of it, there were artists in the center, and one of them, right after I came out, she chatted with me. Her name is Veronica, and she has really beautiful pottery. And one of the special exhibition in there was talking about pottery, and realized how the essence of pottery is like emptiness, right? It's like I remember one of the chapters in the Tao Te Ching. It talks about how a bowl is useless without the emptiness of it. The same thing for the house. A house is empty inside, like the structure. It's not the usefulness is in the emptiness. The same thing for the pottery. The usefulness is in the emptiness of the whole container. It has the potential, right? I think that's what came to me, is like the potential of the emptiness. It's kind of like the same thing for like a computer. Like the hardware is just the potential to input the software kind of thing. So the potential of AI or computer is in the emptiness of it. And once you put certain software or ask the right questions, then the usefulness comes out. Same thing for pottery. The usefulness is in the storing rain, water, food, all kinds of things. And that's why it's so useful especially for the more primitive people, let's say. And they even write stories. That's why the art comes in to these pottery, is they put stories around the pottery, and that's where the art is. Like if you just make the pottery without the art, it becomes just a useful tool. But like you design it, tell stories around it, then it becomes art. And yeah, it passed down from tradition to tradition, or generation to generation, to recount the stories in a way. Because back in the days, I mean, talking about like thousands of years ago, people have like perfect memory, so they don't need to, in a way, write down things to remember, because they have everyone. Once they hear something, they just perfectly remembers it. And that's why storytellers are just like verbal people. They just tell stories, and it would be remembered throughout. But as the consciousness kind of dims down, people need to write things down. So it's not that we become smarter to develop writing tools and writing language and stuff like that. It's that consciousness kind of dwindled down. That we needed tools for us to remember in a way. So that's why writing was essentially developed. It involves like the thing about yuga cycles and stuff like that, but that's the essence of it. And oh yeah, I forgot to say the the Echo Amphitheater, and really close by it, like I would say on the highway, right? Because the Echo Amphitheater is right off the highway. You just turn in, and it's right there. And there's another thing that's off of it, about like half a mile away, is you can see an entrance sign called the Monastery of Christ in the Desert. And that got me intrigued. I think Claude mentioned it to me, and that's why I got really intrigued. But I had no idea that it's like unpaved road. It's just like literally just rocks and dirt for 13 miles to go into the depth of where the monastery is. And along the way, it passes the Chama River. So you can occasionally see cars that are camping there, like doing day camping, but hardly any cars go into the depth of it, which is at the end is the monastery. So I was driving, you can really only drive like 15 to 20 miles an hour because of the rockiness, as well as the, you just don't want to, I didn't want to hurt the vehicle in a way. And also I was driving like a Beamer, like a 3 Series Beamer. So it's not the perfect vehicle to be driving in the off-road condition where other people were driving in like Jeep and things like that. So that's why I was driving slowly, but it was like one of the longest drive ever because how slow it was going, even though it's 13 miles. If you're driving 13 miles on the highway, it's done in like 10 minutes or something. But if you're driving in 15 mile an hour condition, it takes a while, and the mind start to play tricks in a way and start to question, like, where am I going to see at the end of it, having expectations and all kinds of different scenarios dreaming up. And I was watching my mind going through all of this while actually being present on the road to drive under these conditions, because I want to avoid the potholes. And one of the scenarios I think I dreamt up is like, what if I get a puncture on the tires or something? I'd be trapped here because there is no signal, so it's all only SOS signals. I can't really reach out to anyone. There's hardly anyone here too, right? So all these what if scenarios popping up. It's very interesting how it shows up in these under these times. And also, I think like just mind likes to play scenarios too. Like I was missing on the way back. I was missing my connection flight because the Dallas-Fort Worth airport was constantly under construction, and also that the SkyTram was a Skylink. It was one of the Skylink was broken or something, and it just sat there without really the announcer mentioning any of it. It's just like wait in the car, but they didn't really mention any reason why it was broken. And so it was stuck there for 10 minutes, and I didn't know what to do, whether I was literally one stop away from my terminal, and it's not like the terminal where you can just walk, but I needed to get to the other terminal, and there's no connection between them, so I needed to wait. So after I think 10 minutes or so, I just walked to the other side to go 360 back to the other way, which is like a long way. And then I think it was like my impatience, and I think after a few minutes, the Skylink for the train that I was on, it started working again. So I was got off and went to the other side, and to completely miss the terminal I was at. And at the same time, they changed the boarding gate as well without me noticing. So even after I got to the gate that I thought I was in, it turned out to be another gate. So I had to find the one they changed to. So it's just like a bunch of mess, because I was actually wanting to check out the Capital One Lounge at the Dallas Fort Worth, which I have a credit card, so I get a free pass for. So I had to go to the AA counter, and the lady was nice enough. As I got on a flight, maybe we'll say 2 hours later, and who knows? You don't know about these things, right? Like, kind of like, what if that missing the flight was the right decision? I mean, it is the right decision in the sense that I partake it, but there's alternate universe that I could be on the other flight and then it didn't make it or something. So you don't know any of these. You just have to trust the universe and be almost like when I just had the realization this morning is anytime you have like a desire that's opposite of your desire, just almost like thank God that thank you for showing me this. That's exactly what I wanted, right? Just force yourself to admit that's actually what you wanted. Because the mind doesn't, it's just a impression machine. So you just need to tell it exactly what you're looking for. And it's kind of like the thing where you bought a new car, it's like a red car, or you bought a new car that's the same brand. You start to notice all the other cars along the road of the same color or the same brand that you have. Same thing, you're just like a pattern recognition machine. So if you give it a directive, any directive, it will try to find those directives. So if you give the directive like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm finding, that's exactly what I was hoping for, then you'll keep finding the same thing. Everything you start to see and perceive, everything will be kind of perfect as it is. Yeah. Another thing I saw when I was driving to the Echo Amphitheater was a black bear was on the highway, like in the what's it called, like the center between the two highways. It was like patches of grass, but somehow it ran, and I was like the only vehicle that you can see, and then it kind of ran to me. It was like my car was like a white color, and I think it sensed something with the car, and then just ran towards the car, even though I was driving like 60-70 miles an hour kind of thing. It just like ran almost like full speed toward it, and then it stopped when it reached the road. I was like waving to it, just looking at me. So that was a very interesting encounter. So at the Christ in the desert, the monastery at the end. I didn't even count, but I didn't count the time it took to get there. But I think it took like about 50 minutes to get out. But it was very quiet, very peaceful, and right after I got there, I drank some water and immediately went inside the temple and started meditating, and I realized and sensed how peaceful it was just being there, because there's hardly anyone there. And when I got there was one person standing in the parking lot, and then by the time I got out, he was gone. And I didn't see anyone there. I heard like some voices when I was meditating in the temple, but it was gone, and maybe they drove away. Maybe that was like I think that was like part of the gift shop people. And after I finished meditating, I went to the main area, the main center, where the gift shop were. Everyone was gone, but the gift shop was closed between something like 11:30 to 1:30 for their lunch. And I heard bells ring, so I assumed that was like the lunch bell or something. And I wanted to buy something from the gift shop because they actually the brother monks actually make their own wool products. And I was peering into the gift shops to see where what some of the products were, but you could hardly see any. It was a large gift shop though. And the main area was like stunningly beautiful. It was like very simple, but they put efforts and thought into it. Even the bathroom was like meticulous with a bunch of arts around it and stuff. So I thought it was very well done. I wish I stayed there more because I could have done more. I wish I brought my Android phone. Actually, at that time I didn't realize I should be doing this, where I could just set the Android phone with the stand and just put it in the temple and just meditate there. And I wish I could have done that, but I didn't bring the phone. And I think the mind was like trying to justify to go back to the Ojo Caliente to start soaking, because I think it was like around 2-ish when I was about to head back. So I wouldn't get back until like 3:30 or 4, and I wanted to soak more time. And I actually got to do that. So that was good. Other than that, the app is really coming along. The only last feature, before I had the idea to do like a together walk, like a pilgrimage group thing together, and I feel like the app itself should be like a personal/solo thing. So I kind of scraped the idea, and the last feature that I'm going to do, which is in the center, that I was having a hard time to find a word for it, because if you see wonder and then also the seek, they're all verbs, and I needed a verb to do like pilgrimage. Obviously you can't say pilgrimage because it's like a noun. So, and then also the Claude had recommended come up with a new feature, which is walk the path that the interactive page had gave. So you're following the walker's path in a way. So like, let's say you go on the page, at the end you say, walk this path, you click on it, and it automatically takes you to the app and then brings you up the route that this walker had took from the page. And then you can just walk it. So it has a faint line that you can kind of like imitate it, but you don't need to follow exactly, kind of thing. Which I had the same kind of idea for the pilgrimage routes, which it sources the route from the Open Pilgrimage repo, and it has all the way markers and stuff, things like that, so you can actually see all the way mark along the way. But you'll see like that faint line kind of thing. So you're walking with the path that other people have took in a way. So, but you download it. You download the pilgrimage pack. Let's say you want to walk the Shikoku or Camino. So you download that pack, and then you don't need the Wi-Fi or cell signal to access the map, because it's already been downloaded. And Map Pack has that feature, so you can actually do that, which I think is very useful for pilgrimage routes, because there's not going to be any signals there, so you won't be able to access online stuff. I think that for the same thing, for the interactive follow the walker thing, you can just kind of hit that, and then it will go to that page. So we'll download that route ahead of time. Let's say you go to a national park, and then you're in the center of the starting point of the national park where you actually have some Wi-Fi, and then you click that link, and it will populate all of that route of the person that did it. So you have that map, so you can start at where they started, and you can actually see all of it where they walked. Because I think Mapbox downloads the area. There's like a box that it downloads, so it gets that. So I want to do that, and then I was meditating, and then to come up with a verb for it, And what came forth was honor, because to honor, right? Honor is a word, as a verb, and also, wonder is 6 letter, honor is 5, and seek is 4. So it matches the pattern, 6, 5, 4. So I thought it was very, because you're honoring the walker, the previous walker's path, as well as you're honoring the previous pilgrim's path, who have walked the path before you. So in a way, you're honoring them, right? So I thought it was a very beautiful word. So I think I'm gonna go with that to develop the last feature, which I think completes the app. It definitely kind of caps it off. So I think that release is gonna be 2.0, because it's like a big release that the app is finally finished with all the 3 features. And after that, it's just going to be just bug fixes and features, more features on top of those 3 kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm excited to kind of finish it off. And I think, I'll definitely finish off before I go to Japan to actually walk the pilgrimage. But it will be exciting to finally finish the app in its holistic. I wouldn't say there's like a final plan. It just came along the way. Like all of this just ideas, and I sometimes just jot them down, like the together feature, right? I jotted down initially. There's like so many lines that I wrote about it, but now it's getting scraped because I don't think it fits with the final vision of it in a way. Yeah, and that's what it is. I don't have much more to say right now. Nothing comes to mind. Right now I'm walking the pedestrian. You can actually see, if you're listening to this, you can actually see where I'm walking. It's part of the interactive page, which is really cool, I feel like. In a way, that's why I wanted, the interactive page almost like makes the walker almost like a guide. So you can actually take this anywhere, in a way. Anywhere, it doesn't need to be like pilgrimage or sacred places, but anywhere the user walks, the walker becomes a guide for others. Kind of like what my dad could be doing, is he could just walk and then send the interactive page to his friends. His friends can actually hear, listen, and maybe even walk the route themselves if they choose to later. So I think it's like a really beautiful feature. I'm glad it came to me on the streets of Santa Fe in a way. And yeah. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is I'm actually going to start today the first class of spiritual counseling. Somehow that course kind of intrigued me, as well as I think it's beneficial for me as well as others, that I could use the tools that I learned from the course to make the pilgrimage more effective, more better, for lack of word, better for the pilgrimage, to kind of use the tool for myself as well as structure the pilgrimage to transform people's lives, to ask better questions, to listen more effectively, and things like that. So I'm excited to start the course, and actually I'm taking it with Guru Bhai here in Austin, and it's very coincidental that we both signed up without knowing that we were interested in this. So I'm looking forward to that. And another thing I forgot to mention was I was chatting with a friend about just like the post New Mexico trip. And what I noticed from the Ojo Caliente, there's this large pool with like kind of like cold water, and that there is, in the morning, there are these swallows with the wings that are geared to fly in a way. You can see swallow just fly almost all day. They hardly any rest, because I think there's momentum or more energy wasted for them to start the propelling mechanism to start flying than actually glide in the air, because it's more natural for them to be in the air than be on the ground and just standing, because of how their wings are designed in a way. So you can see that they're just having fun and Ojo Caliente and just flying all about. But when they need a drink of water, they don't even land to drink the water. They just fly and slow down a little bit and glide just over the water and just take a sip, almost like bouncing off the water. So I realized like the nature of a bird is to fly, and that's what they do. That's how they play, is to fly. But what is the nature of human? Like, we're not meant to, like, what is that makes us unique in order for us to just do something naturally in a way? And it's not anything fancy. It's just how we're born to do. Maybe we're born to like kind of meditate, to be like a kid. Maybe we regress to being a kid, or be in the present. Humans have a distinct way of being able to reflect back at the self, looking back at the self, versus all the other animals, right? So we haven't given that consciousness to evolve further than beyond knowing that we're not the self, kind of thing. And so maybe the thing is to meditate, to be reflective, to maybe that's what the yogis do, right? They sit in the mountains and meditate all day, kind of thing. So it's interesting to think about, to how to be a kid again, to regress being back to a kid, but also keep the wisdom, and I think that's why the grandparents and the kids get along so well, because they're one and the same. They kind of went back full circle, or they're in a full circle but 3D, like a spiral. They're on this full, it looks like they're going full circle, but the grandparents went deeper into the depth of the spiral. And you can see that the sages are very playful. They're like kids, because they know that they know that they don't know, kind of thing. And it's hard for the mind to comprehend. They are way deeper, even for like the senses, because the mind can only perceive through the senses, and because of electrical signals to the mind. But it's beyond that. Like the world, the universe is beyond what the depth, what the perception of the senses are, because it has such a limited bandwidth of measurement. That's why we create tools and instruments for us to detect things our senses cannot detect, right? So and the mind wants to understand, wants to reach out further, but just can't. How can the parts understand the whole? How can the hand understand the whole body, kind of thing? And sometimes we just have to let go and then just have full faith to really trust the whole process, because the world is stranger than we can even imagine. Not that it's just strange or queer. That's the original quote, is like the world's not just queer, it's queerer than we can even imagine. So we have to be open. The mind has to be open and curious, and I think that's one of the skills not skills, just a natural thing. Maybe that is what we're seeking, or that is the natural humanness, is like the curiosity, because we have the ability to be curious, right? Because it needs to be like almost like a reflective thing. I mean, maybe animals do too. Maybe they're curious about it, but we have to be mindful to be always curious, because we lose that. Like the kids' natural tendency is to be curious about the world because they don't know much about it, so they're always like kind of like an adventure exploring. But adults kind of become jaded, let's say, about the world, and then they stop being curious, even though everything is like very fascinating, because it's that we become familiar enough that we stop becoming curious about it. But if you think about how everything works, we don't really understand any of it, kind of thing. So the lesson is to always be curious. And I think that's the part about, like, I actually went back to watch One Piece, to not go back, but just like stop where start where the TV series, the live action TV series had stopped, and just watch it through. But like I'm like skipping really fast to understand the gist of the story, kind of thing. So I can see why people are so fascinating with One Piece, because it's like the curiosity, adventure of being a pirate and taking on the world and all these grand ambitions, right? Who doesn't want that? Because compared to our lives, this is way more exciting. So we gotta create, and it's a story that we tell. Like everything is a story. What had happened in real life, the event that transpired, our mind tells a whole alternative story about it to justify what we perceive was a neutral event. And then we add colors, we add vibrancy, we add lies, quote unquote lies to it, to make it more, to embellish to others, to tell it to ourselves. Because when we tell a story long enough, it becomes the truth to us, right? Even though when we first initially designed the thing, and we started telling the story about it, one thing led to another. It completely changed the story, but we didn't mean to, but just evolved that way. So imagine, take that to like the extreme of billions of people all doing the same thing. We have a whole different perception of the world. And actually, I was reading. So one of the things I love to do when I'm traveling is to read books, because I get such an opportunity to read books, like on planes, when I'm waiting and things like that, which I normally don't get to do, which I do now when I'm traveling. Is I read a book called Prometheus Rising, and it's by Robert something A. It's the alphabet is like Raw, and he talks about the tunnel reality, where everyone has their own reality tunnel. It's kind of like a horse with the blinders. We all see just that tunnel in a way. We don't see anything else besides it, because we're like, for lack of better words, it's like we're lack curious. We lack being open about things, and that kind of closes up. And the whole spiritual path is about expansion. It's about expanding the consciousness. You have to take in everything in a way, and not be bothered by whatever that doesn't fit your current understanding of the world or the tunnel that you're in. So we all just having our own reality tunnel, and he had a beautiful metaphor or analogy about it, where a cat walked past by a dog, and the cat just meowed, and the dog looked at the cat, and then the cat meowed again, and then the cat went away, and then the dog said wolf, and then the cat walked away and said, "Stupid dog, doesn't understand. He doesn't understand me," kind of thing. Which that's essentially us in human form, right? We look at other people and we think we understand them, but they all have their own reality tunnel. We don't. And then we perceive them through our reality tunnel, and it's a completely different thing. So we have to be mindful about what we're lacking, what we're not curious about / not open about, and be open to every possibility. Because, like I said, the world is stranger than we can even imagine. And I think that's a lesson. It's a lesson we always have to remember. It's a perpetual remembrance. And that's the whole teaching, is divine remembrance, or smriti. We need to remember almost like our previous lives in order to understand where we're heading, kind of thing. That's it. That's the beautiful note on a Saturday, which I'm going to get a croissant with eggs and cheese. It's my reward for the day. Cheers. Namaste.
The bowl is useful because it is empty. Be curious, like a child again. Honor the paths that came before you. The world is stranger than we can imagine. And namaste.